Some of the parliament buildings they built in Pakistan, can you believe that? I mean, that's politicians for you. Now, this is interesting. We went up to Afghanistan, up to the border. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to go with these guys in this Toyota that they've cut off, and they got machine guns. Eh? So here we go with our 20 guys with machine guns, and we're heading off into the countryside. And wow, what a rugged ride that was. This is some of the villages we went through. I don't know who they thought we were, but here we are with this sort of gun-toting group up into the mountains there, and that was an interesting way to spend a Sunday. It was rugged. Boy, I don't know. I'm amazed that we got out of there. I can tell you lots about it. On into to our meeting at the OECD, and you know what we asked them? This is 29 of the top industrialized countries of the world. And they are a think tank about the economy of the world. So we learned all this stuff in these other countries, and we put it on their table for 2 days and discussed the economy. And you know what, at the end? We said, why is Canada having trouble? Why is our dollar the way it is? Why has our dollar dropped more than the franc or the pound or any other currency against the US dollar? And you know what they said? And you'd, as reformers, you'd be really shocked at this. You know what the message was? Your debt's too high. You have a $600 billion debt. Your debt is 79% of GDP. It's got to be 20. Now, aren't you shocked by that news? And then you know what they said? You have the highest personal tax of the 29 countries. And you know what? You have the third highest industrial tax of the 29 countries. Well, aren't you shocked to know that taxes are too high in this country? And then thirdly, you know what they said, which was the saddest of all? They said, and you don't have a plan. You don't know where you're going. Your government has not put a plan on the table. Now, I mean, that's what the top economists in the world, how they're evaluating Canada. And isn't it kind of strange that 11 years ago the Reform Party was formed because we said that's what's wrong with this country economically. So that's pretty interesting stuff. That's our final dinner, and we're back home again. Anyway, it was a fascinating trip. I think that, you know, some people would argue, well, we shouldn't spend the money doing things like that. But you know, we have to understand the world if we're going to be government. We have to know what's happening out there. And we can only help ourselves, I think, by doing that sort of thing. So, you know, that's what Preston and I spent 24 days this summer doing. And as I say, it was really quite fascinating. It's been very useful. Some of the people don't stay around for my speeches, but Rick's always there to listen to them. Because I can really go after the government about certain issues now using some of this material as ammunition. And it's really quite good. You can certainly, you know, some of those liberals don't know a heck of a lot about a lot of these issues. And it's kind of nice to be able to go after them with them and hit them over the head. Questions? Yes? We start our meeting again at 8 o'clock, and we are working on the agenda for the United Alternative, and it's an exciting project. It's going to be, we're going to have some really good people there, and I know, I think Joe Clark will even crawl in the back door somewhere. Joe who? No, Joe says that's not the right thing to do. You know, we're going to come back, boy. You know, dream on. Anyway, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciated being here. And if anybody has any questions they want to ask, let me know. Right now, we're working really hard on the Kosovo thing, and I was part of a negotiating group on Thursday where we were talking specifically about Kosovo. We're going to be sending 100 Canadians as part of a 2,000-member observation team into Kosovo unarmed. Okay, and that's, I heard a lady ask where that is. That's in the former Yugoslavia, Serbia, a province, an independent province. This is exactly what we debated in 1994 when we had people, unarmed people, in Bosnia. And it's just the same debate. And we had 55 Canadians taken hostage, and we were lucky none of them got killed. But, you know, we just do these kind of things without thinking about the implications. And, you know, 100 Canadians literally were putting their life at risk, and we're not even asking questions about it. And I find that really frustrating. And Mr. Axbury and I actually got in a debate in front of a group of other foreign parliamentarians. It was pretty fun for me, not for him. Yes? Well, you see, there's about I think $56 billion in Canada that could be withdrawn in short-term loans when they come due, that the Japanese have lent to Canada. So if they were to recall that $56 billion, you know, I mean, that would put us into a huge crisis. What they're trying to do is get people to invest in the infrastructure to get, like, they're trying to buy themselves out of the problem. So they're trying to encourage their own money to build roads and bridges and that sort of thing. And the people aren't buying. The people are basically saying, we want our money, we want to get it out of here, and we basically want to get it into the U.S. And the implications of all of that, like, if Japan goes through another drop, that will spin off all over Asia again, and I think the crisis then just deepens. Like, I think that has to be prevented from happening, and I think the World Bank and IMF, that's what they're working on. The problem with the Japanese is they are not 2000 computer compatible. And it looks like the politicians, see, they got to save face. They're going to blame the bankruptcy of their banks on the 2000 computer problem. And like, that's scary. And so actually the Americans are really trying to push the Japanese into going another direction. So I don't know where it's going to end up. I just don't know. Nobody knows. But we got to watch that Japanese. That's the key, because it's such a huge economy. And that's the key to this whole future. But you're right, like, those are the kind of problems that there's so much money, so much investment, so much they could draw back. And that would have effects on Canada. Now, you know, on the other side, the China and so on, hey, that's all, you know, there's just such optimism there. So you got to balance all this out. Indonesia, we could talk about that. I mean, that's a basket case. They've gone backwards 40 years. Thailand is moving out of the crisis. So is Korea. Korea looks much better today than it did. So some are thriving, others are falling. And a lot of it comes down to leadership and government. So important. Yes.
Back to our problems at home.
Yes.